Welcome to Branching Out by Bonsai, the podcast where marketing gets measured, myths get busted, and acronyms get explained. No filler, just the good stuff. Let's get into it. Thank you all for coming. As Stephanie said, I'm Matt Butler, CEO of Bonsai. We're a marketing measurement platform that also automates profitable growth. And today we're going to talk about playing referee. As you can see by my get up here. I don't think, most of us dream of being the players, maybe not the referee, but talk a little bit about that. Is that something that we want to do at our own companies, with our own teams, on our own marketing strategy? What's the benefit to that? I got some great friends and great minds here to kind of share some thoughts. So we'll discuss that and others. Hopefully some good questions come up along the way. But I guess Russ and Steve, I would love you guys to introduce yourselves, but before we jump into all of the ad measurement stuff today, could you let everyone know who you are, where you're at, current or former companies, or everything in between, and then favorite team and worst call. I'll start. So I'm from Chicago. Bonsai is based out of Chicago. I guess favorite team is the Chicago Cubs. Worst call, I don't know if this was like technically a call they could have made, but I will always remember in 2003, the Cubs were about to win the World Series, and then a fan reached over the field. It should have been called interference. That guy was out, but they went on to win it many years later. So still happy about that nonetheless. So yeah, take it away, Russ.
I'm trying to remember his name.
Bartman.
Yes, that's what it is. Russ Hannig. I am the COO of a company called Sponsor CX. We have a SaaS platform that helps, customers who are selling sponsorships and those who are buying sponsorships manage that whole process and using AI to help them save time. Before that, I've known Matt for a while. Before this, I was at a company called Gabb, where we did safe tech for kids, and before that, Ancestry. Favorite team is BYU. Nobody could break my heart more than they do pretty much my whole life. But my worst call is my second favorite team, which is the Jazz.
Oh.
Yeah.
I know where this is going.
You know exactly where this is going. He pushed off. Jordan pushed off. He totally pushed off. The worst call, though, was this. This was the worst call. Yes, Jordan pushed off, and that was his final shot, and blah, blah, blah. But there was a three-pointer that Howard Isley hit that should have counted, and with replay it would have, and we would have won the game and have gone to Game 7.
Let's not talk about bad calls here.
Who is not bitter 40 years later, 30 years later? There's way too much about me.
Thanks, Russ.
Hey, I'm Steve Thomas. I'm the Director of Marketing, Data, and Analytics for Camping World. We are the largest camping RV dealership network in the country. I have been with the company for about 3 years now. I came from the world of manufacturing data, so this switch was a very interesting switch for me. I would say that my favorite sports team is definitely the Purdue Boilermakers. We try to ignore football season nowadays. I'm a glutton for punishment, so I still watch them, unfortunately. But
you have basketball.
That's right. This is my season right now. We're just now getting into basketball season, which is great. I'd say the worst call that I've seen, my daughter is in marching band, so we've been going to Friday night football games, and let me tell you, high school officiating, it's not good.
Oh, no.
It's not good. Not good. Yeah, I feel bad for everybody involved, actually.
Oh, man. Well, as a fellow Big Ten, grad, I support, I'm Michigan, but, Boiler Up, Purdue, awesome school, awesome conference.
Right.
Absolutely. All right, so I guess, Steve, I'd love to throw it over to you to start. So we're here to talk about measuring your own success and then seeing, what does that do for a company? Should you do that? I know before Bonsai ever worked with you, this was something that you had been discussing, investing, going on for quite some time. Could you tell me a little bit about that journey and process? Why was that so important, and how did that start?
Sure. So the first day that I started Camping World about 3 years ago, I sat down with our director of marketing, dealership marketing, and he really laid out the kind of the game plan, or kind of what he thought the vision should be. He'd been struggling for years to understand the full picture, and for us, it was really the challenge that was laid ahead of us. We knew we wanted to get to building out an MTA model to see the whole picture, but he had actually planted that seed a long time ago in the marketing group, but we just didn't have the resources to do it up until this point. I would say that from that point on, it really launched us into kind of a discovery, data cleaning process that helped kind of jumpstart that journey into getting where we are today. We all have complex data problems, and we have a lot of complex processes. And for us, we just wanted to make smarter decisions with our data and how we market. So
yeah, that's you'd been on obviously a multi-step process, but I always think when you tell that story, I think in many ways you guys were really advanced, at least in how you thought about it, right?
Right.
And I guess it takes me to Russ. So you've been, as you mentioned, many places that operated with good measurement internally. You've also seen the process of what it looked like when your marketing teams were run by ad platform measurement. What I guess tell me about that. What was that like? What should or needed to change?
Yeah, maybe before I answer, it would be really interesting. There's not a lot of people here. How many people are in marketing or associated with marketing? Raise your hand. Yeah. Okay, that's most. If you didn't raise your hand, what are you part of? Okay. Yep.
He's in finance.
Finance. Okay, I'll stay on task. I know the drill. Anybody else not in marketing?
Yeah, the teams in Mexico.
Yeah.
Who's marketing?
Yeah. So, when in my career, I think there's two major problems that I've run into that really, really cause havoc on the finance side, on the marketing side. One is so many of us are still stuck into last touch attribution. What's the last thing they touched before they purchased? Anybody still living in that world? Don't raise your hand, actually. You don't have to. It's probably a lot of you would. That's just what we go off of, right? It was the last thing that they touched, and so that's what we give credit to. The second thing is, having the ad platform tell you how well you're doing. So having Meta tell you how well you're doing on Meta, and having Google tell you how well you're doing on Google, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And when I first got to, not where I'm at now, but where I was before, it was heavily reliant on what those ad platforms were saying. And what we found, or what my hunch was and what we found later, was that clearly we were double counting. Google was taking credit for a bunch of stuff, Meta was taking credit for a bunch of their stuff and more, and it didn't make sense to me. And they all, and each one of the agencies, I had agencies, one agency running Meta, one agency running Google, and so they all wanted more money. They said, if you just give us more money, we'd make more money for you. And so I think that for me it was, how do I get out of last touch? How do I understand the customer journey more? And then how do I stop trusting the ad platform to tell me what's working and what's not? And how do I get enough data to understand what I'm doing and not rely on them? I don't know if I answered that.
As someone so in my former life, as a 12-year member of the Google Analytics team and leading retail analytics, I just want to say,
I threw you under the bus.
I resemble that remark. No, I think it's interesting, right? I guess, Steve, back to you. You mentioned the process, and you guys need to, kicking off kind of how important it was to your directors and beyond, but you still had to start. What was the tipping point when you guys finally decided to pull the trigger and go, we're going to solve this?
Yeah, so we operate typically on a sales target model. So through our forecasting, they develop the sales targets for each dealership. We take that then, and we've actually developed some in-house models that take that and generate the volume of leads we need to produce using some historical data, using some other key pieces. And what we found is like that was just getting us the volume we needed to create. We needed to hopefully go to the sale piece. But what we found out was that over time, we kept getting pressured to reduce our spending, increase our sales, and our market share.
I've never felt that in my life. Reduce
your
your spend, but
right?
still sell more.
Yes, yeah. So we started to build our analytics. We started to test with certain things like Google PMax, and ultimately we pushed on some of our social channels because they were cheaper and produced a bunch of leads so we could hit that target. What we found is that actually worked, and it worked well, but we had no clue. The tipping point was basically we had no clue which was driving it, how much it was driving it. And so the tipping point for us was we needed to bring all of that in-house so we could see the full picture from people coming onto our site all the way through the sale, which we just didn't have.
Yeah. Sounds like, so the mandate came, you guys jumped in with both feet. It worked, but then when they asked you, like, hey, what was the secret sauce? No one had any. You didn't know.
It really wasn't even, they asked us what the secret sauce was. It was kind of like, cool, this worked. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was our realization that like we actually need to figure this out. We can't continue to reduce spend and not know what's actually driving our sales.
Yeah, very cool. So we get the pleasure of working together. So I know obviously the journey at Camping World and your measurement work with us. Same with you, Russ. So, but other than me just saying like, yeah, use Bonsai. Tell me something that doesn't make any. No one knows what that means, right? So I guess question for both of you, feel free, whoever wants to go first. What does this actually mean? Like, what did you change specifically around how you were measuring in those days with the multiple report cards? And then what did it look like when you were kind of done, or at least, made the first major improvement?
So I'll start. So I don't know if this resonates with any of you, but getting people on board with doing something better with measurement is actually really hard. You're going to be paying for, you might be paying some, there might be some things you're paying for to get to there where you need to go. There might be analytics people internally that feel like they know what's going on and they don't need to be told. They already know what's going on. It could be some data people internally that don't want to do anything different. And so I think, what's that?
That doesn't happen.
Right. I felt that at Ancestry. Maybe I shouldn't name names. Sorry. I felt that in a former place. I already said it. So what does it matter now? Where trying to get people to agree was really, really difficult. So when I went to my next role, like from the beginning, I wanted to just show them the problem. Like show them, do you see how much Google's saying they're doing? Do you see how much Meta's saying they're doing? Now, how many sales did we have? Do you see how that's triple the number of sales we have? Do you see how that math doesn't add up? Do you want to keep spending like this, or should we be more thoughtful around it? I think there's a better way. Well, how do we do it? And so that started a journey that took a little bit, but it was getting our data into a centralized place, all of our data in a centralized place, at least the data around marketing that really mattered and the sales data on our website or traffic, et cetera. And then start to stitch together the first party story, our data story, and what touch points were happening along the customer journey. When we did that, we then very easily were able to see, oh yeah, here's the double counting. Here's actually the part of the journey that we're missing, or we're not getting credit at all. And so we took, like for example, we would take spend down in a platform because we thought it was doing nothing for us. And then we realized, oh, that actually is, and it's actually bringing people to search for us, and then they're searching and then they're buying. So just understanding from the data the customer journey. At the end, honestly, I'm on now a new journey. I'm 1 month into my new role, so I'm restarting in a new place. But where I was even a month ago, I knew exactly what we would spend and what exactly we would get. And that was incredibly empowering to my team. And I knew it not just from like the clicks, but even impressions, the impressions that I got on YouTube, or the impressions that I got on Meta, or the impressions I got on TV. I knew what it was driving. And we went from, just under 40 million in ARR to 120 million in ARR in 3 years with no increase in budget. And it's because we knew where to spend, and we knew where we should stop spending, and we knew if we could increase here or increase there, it would actually make a bigger difference than if we increased here or increased there. I don't know if I made any sense.
We don't talk the confidence to move quickly too. Happens is another benefit, right? I mean,
yes,
yeah, that's it, because it's hard to go from that size to those are. Be great if one change made triple ARR, but it's going to take multiple iterative changes.
Yeah, and I would say the biggest ally is finance.
Yeah.
If you can go and have an ally in finance that understands and realizes what you're trying to accomplish or what the purpose is, that will unlock everything else. Because finance tells data really what they can or can't do, or what they or what I guess resources they have generally. And so if finance and marketing can be aligned enough, then you can move quick.
So Steve, what specifically changed at Camping World?
Yeah, so we're just starting off our journey over the last year. For us, it was basically just understanding that full customer flow. We being lead based and sales based, we had this really big disconnect in our data. So we could see everybody coming onto our website, all the traffic onto our website, how many leads we were generating. But at the end of the day, we had a sales number, and we really didn't understand that connection piece. So for us, it was building out that pipeline. We had some really good tools that were telling us, some of the things that we could watch, but we just didn't understand, kind of like what you were saying. We ended up going down the path of finally getting to the point of implementing the MTA, partnering with Bonsai to help finish telling that story. And for us, the buy-in was actually pretty easy because of this disconnect that's been around for so long in our business.
I know you mentioned a little bit earlier, but what was one of the hypotheses you all had going into this that was either confirmed or you maybe changed?
Yeah, so we definitely had one or two hypotheses we wanted to test out. The big one was as we were trying to hit that volume of leads to generate, like I said earlier, we were pushing a lot into social. We were generating a huge amount of leads there, but our hypothesis was that they were poor quality leads. We couldn't tell that they were poor quality because the sale of an RV happens kind of almost offline from this digital process. So once we got the MTA up and running, it was literally the first thing that we went after and looked at, and it was like, okay, yeah, we knew that they were driving, social was driving a huge amount of leads. The quality was poor, as we expected, but the thing that kind of caught us off guard is there was actually a decent amount of incrementality there that we had to work with, which was great. So it allowed us to take that information, fine-tune how much we were spending on the platform, where we were spending it, still generate a lot of leads, but also kind of build that quality up a little bit.
Yeah, and in your guys' case, it's so great to see, right? So you have those in-dealership sales now that are mapped back to your lead, your lead tool, which is mapped back to your online tool, and you have that visibility. Maybe it's too early, but any interesting bottom line impacts you guys are already seeing?
Yeah, so we through the third quarter, we've already seen our sales increase about 16% year over year. Likewise, our lead volume has gone up just a little bit, which is great. Overall, I think it seems like the quality of the leads,
which speaks to what you're saying, which is that they are great channels bringing in new leads, and you're finding better quality leads because those
and our marketing spend
sales are exceeding the lead growth, right? Yeah, which is awesome.
And our marketing spend has been flat. So,
all right, I'm going to throw it over to questions to the group in a second. But anything else? How did this impact culture, I guess, Russ?
When people understand, I guess that's the title of the, when people, and I always say this, when people know the score, people know what to do next. And when people don't know the score and know where we're at as a company and how we're, trending, it leads to a lot of back office conversations that lead to, I don't think they're doing what they're doing right, and I don't think that, and I don't even know if we're going in the right direction, and et cetera, et cetera. When everybody knows the scorecard and the source of truth, then you're able to row together, and that makes literally all the difference.
So we're not done yet, but I want to, Stephanie, if you want to take the mic. I don't know if there's any questions for Russ or Steve. Yeah.
Hey, sorry we were late. So it sounds like you're talking about, the ad buys and stuff online through the various different things. In our world, we do a lot of our prospecting and touches are in person. So as well as others, right? But we know they hear me speak, then they go check this out, then they go to the Facebook, then they meet somebody else who's a travel advisor that likes us, and then so it's a variety of different touches. How does that play a role? And I would think, especially with Camping World, you're at events. How do you put that into your equation?
Do you want my mic?
I'm glad you were smiling at me, Russ, like it was a question you wanted me to ask.
That's because I'm living that journey right now. Go ahead.
For us, it was really, I guess, to look at the big picture. It was not only going past the MTA, but also starting to look at our incrementality, bringing in other touch points that we hadn't looked at before from a measurement standpoint. So we're still kind of working on that journey to pull in all of those different points to understand the full journey there. But from the digital point, we're doing pretty well.
Not knowing your situation and how big of an audience and everything, to me, I think there's a lot of ways that you can, if you understand the digital side really well, that you can learn what an event or what a speaking engagement does and how it lifts website traffic over normal, or how it lifts people reaching out to you or whoever above normal. I think that understanding the digital side, I'm living that world right now. I've been in direct to consumer my whole career, and now I'm going to B2B, which is very much what you described. So how do you take some of those human touch points? And so I think what we're doing is we're starting with the digital. Really understand all of the digital pieces and all the touch points that are very easily monitored. And then we're going to start layering in, okay, we just did this sponsorship, or we just did this event, or we talked to 1,000 people there, or whatever, and then seeing what happens the day after or the week after, and then start to layer on. What would you say?
My other thought on this is, I think, I say this in different contexts and talks, but I want people to know that I think when they hear about MTA, they think that, this must be about online sales or website sales. And those are all, yes, those industries have had that for a little while. If you leave with one technical takeaway, understand that all of these other things are now collectible and joinable. And MTA does not just online sales only. You can't know, and you shouldn't believe someone who says that, I can tell you if some person looked at a billboard or saw an ad. There's certain things that aren't observable because they don't create an interaction. But an engagement at an event, other thing where, information's exchanged, those can be brought into a bigger context. So, whether it's Bonsai or really whoever you're using or your internal teams, open up 15 years ago, you couldn't really say this is true, but thanks to the cloud, thanks to other technologies and partners and systems, you can join just about anything together.
What other questions?
Do you want my mic?
Yeah, so selling multi-day trips is very complex because there was a study that said that each traveler had 17 touch points before buying a trip. We're talking about 5,000 trips. And I kind of surrendered at that moment. I was like, I'm not even going to try to measure all this. And we've had travelers saying hey, I got here from ChatGPT, or just a friend told me. So is it even worth it for such complex flows to measure it, or should we just not spend our time there?
Yes.
Yeah.
100% yes. It depends on how much you're spending, but yes, because if it's 5 touch points or it's 35 touch points. The beauty is once you're measuring it, you can start to find patterns that really will help you to make the biggest impact. Because if there's 17 touch points, then you might say, yeah, there's 17 touch points, but touch point number 7, is showing up in all of the journeys. And so if we put more money there rather than the other 17 spots, that's the tide in the harbor that raises all the boats. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and just to that point, that's kind of where we are right now in our journey. We're just starting to discover what those 1, 2, 3 campaigns are that are really giving us the most lift. And so we're starting to actually become more efficient with better quality leads based on making those adjustments.
I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say about Camping World's business, but I'll speak broadly, right? It's an RV business, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 purchases, right?
Yep.
And 30 touch points. It might be 30 months before someone makes a decision. So they have that window, and I think my other pulpit moment around the measurement technology tools out there is we're very used to training ourselves to use measurement and tech to measure stuff that is easy technically. Right. It's easy to do last click. It's easy to put a cookie on a website. It's easy to do stuff, and that tends to be where we measure. I'll tell you, the things that are most worth measuring are the most complicated, right? So if it's more complicated, we always at Bonsai say complexity is our friend, because complexity basically means there's an issue that you don't know about, and it's worth measuring, right? So I think those are kind of, your journey. I wish we had another airline client that has a perfect advice, I would imagine, in your exact case, but I hope that those were helpful.
Such a good question. What other questions?
Thanks.
And we have about 10 minutes, right, Steph? Okay, perfect.
Is this helpful? Sometimes I come to a session and I'm like, they didn't talk about anything I wanted to talk about.
Here, Kat. No worries.
Hi, thanks. I was wondering if you could elaborate a little bit on how you track the same user across so many channels.
Is that a question for me? How about Steve? Steve, you want to do it? Yeah. And then I would love, okay. Steve, why don't you high level it for Camping World, and I can talk about it more broadly. Sound good? I mean, don't give any secret sauce away, but yeah.
The question was, how do we track the same user across? Yeah, so for us, the biggest piece was building out that breadcrumb throughout. We started our process with, when I joined, there was already like a internal cookie that we had built out. But what we found is that was actually not a good way to do it. When working with the Bonsai team, we really dove in with our development team and them to understand what were the strongest methods of connecting all the dots. And it actually, we jumped from like 2% match rate up to 67%.
67, yeah.
Yeah, which is what we expect to be at the top of our match rate, because we do still get online leads from other sources that don't allow the tracking to be appended to it.
2 rules I can say that will work in every one of your cases. 1, all these identifiers need to be yours, first-party identifiers. The days of using any of the third-party ad platform identifiers are over in terms of tracking things. If you want to unify it, right? Because the one thing that data can never do is unify. So first-party data, and then I think I forget exactly I couldn't give it away if I tried, but I think that my lesson in terms of like the actual implementation of that chain of data is, don't think about magic set of perfect keys. Think about there's lots of potential options, and the more you're collecting, the better.
Yeah, we actually have 4 different parameters that we're appending to the leads, which give us the options to kind of the fall over or fall back if something gets corrupt.
And we also we talk to a lot of folks who don't believe they have this, or they don't know. And the simple way to think of it is, do you have an order system? Yes. Okay. It means you have a transaction ID. Do you have a customer system? Yes. It means you have a customer ID. Are you on the internet? Okay. Yes. It means you have an identifier online. So you have what you need. Maybe it hasn't been framed in that way before, but it can be done.
Great question.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I have a question for you. Oh, go.
Hi. You kind of answered my question. I was thinking what's a typical implementation path? Can you hear me? What's a typical implementation path? I understand it needs some custom development, but also roughly, I mean, when you go to sell the idea, you need to promise a timeline. If it's all with fresh first-party data, it means at least 6 months or plus. So is there any way to fast-track this or not?
Great question. Do you guys? Go ahead. You guys go first. Go ahead.
If you say under 6 months, I will buy this.
Well, how long was yours, Russ?
How long was?
Say with us.
So we started in October, and by January, maybe late December, we were starting to understand what was going on with our data.
You launched in January.
Yeah, and then it just then you get greedy, right? So in January we got multi-touch attribution (MTA), and we were like, "This is so awesome." So can you tell us this and this and this? So it just became a journey that we went on over time. But by January we had our data in a spot, and it's because we had finance support. They really were like, "Yes, figure out where we're spending money and be better at it."
Ours was a little bit more complex, but because we had that broken chain, we had a lot of leads, or a lot of that data that was falling off from when the lead got submitted on the website, all the way through all our old our different CRMs and legacy systems. It took us about a year, I think, to get to that point where we could start using it.
You guys was it fall of
24.
Yeah. And then I think it was like May, maybe.
Yeah, it was like
May,
I think it was
June.
August
Okay.
to May. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say that was, about as sophisticated of a business to build that on, right? I mean, you're talking,
Right.
I don't know how many dealerships, but it's hundreds, right?
Yeah,
And
we have just about 200 dealerships.
Yeah. So I mean, definitely not for the faint of heart.
No, definitely not.
Was that helpful? Yes. It just all depends on how complex your data
Yeah.
is, and then
That question is like the biggest thing we rail on internally. So some of the people on my team are here, and they'll know that like I set extremely, completely unrealistic goals around. But there's some businesses. So I think our record at Bonsai is 16 minutes, but a significantly simpler business in Camping World.
Yeah. What other questions?
That would have been amazing.
I think we're almost. So questions for you then. So thank you guys for the wisdom you shared. Are there any other like final learnings that you got? I mean, you shared a lot of them today. Is there anything else? Either Steve, maybe I'll start with you on the IT technical side. Anything that you learned that you want to make sure that everyone knows?
Yeah, so this is not something that, for me being in marketing data and analytics, it's not something that I could do myself. The biggest thing for me was that it was a collaborative journey. It was something that, we had to bring in, we set the vision, we had to bring in IT for cloud and security, we had to bring in our enterprise data team to help build some of the pipelines, our development team for pipeline work as well. We even had to bring in our accounting team because there was, you think we report gross profit in our financial statements. You think that, okay, that's just a field in one of these databases. There was no documentation on the calculation. So we had to develop all of that, and we had to bring the right people on board. So I guess my big takeaway is that, if you find gaps when you're doing this, you have to bring in the right people. And the sooner you do, the faster the process goes.
I think that I was actually talking to someone earlier today. I wouldn't say this is a massive takeaway, but it's a big one. You always get told from PMAX that it's awesome. PMAX is awesome. It's so good. And it's not.
Truth.
And my hunch was always that Google packaged all of these different type of ads together, and that they were probably hitting a lot of customers that would have bought anyway. And that was totally confirmed. I mean, we did probably, how many match market tests where we picked one market versus another market. They were very, very similar, and we did match market tests with PMax, and we learned over and over and over again that we could not spend any of the money in PMax, and we would have still gotten that sale. Is that fair? Did I go too far?
I think you're
Mike?
the mic. No, I mean I will. We don't have a high enough pedestal for that mic drop, but that's amazing. Thank you, Russ. Thank you both for sharing. I hope this was a engaging panel. Thank you for the questions, and we're Bonsai's here in the booth area. If you come want to say hi, if you want to play, there's a basketball court on the 4th floor of this hotel. I'm in a ref outfit, so I'm happy to ref any games you guys got going on. Thank you guys.
Thank you.